Hello and welcome to a new video. It's a new year. Maybe you have made a New Year's resolution to map more, but you're looking for a project. Or maybe you're just interested in townlands and you have come across this issue yourself. So this is something that comes up once in a while in our Facebook group, OpenStreetMap Ireland, that people find that names of townlands are spelled wrong on townlands.ie. And they want us to fix it. They don't really need to ask us to fix it because it is an open database and anyone can fix it. But if you don't know how to do that, this is the video to explain that to you. So this example was from Tipperary. It was spelled Moglind on townlands.ie, but the actual name is Mogland. Maybe it's pronounced different. And you cannot change that on townlands.ie directly. It has to be changed on openstreetmap.org in the database, and that data is used on townlands.ie. Now, I don't know exactly how often that is updated, so it might not show immediately, or it might not show in a week's time or in a month's time, but at least you will have tried, and at least the database is more correct than it was before. Let's say you have a townland that maybe you live in, that you know of, and that you have found on, or you cannot find on townlands.ie because it's spelled wrong, or you have found it on townlands.ie and you know it's the wrong spelling because you've checked on loganim.ie, for example. I will not use this example because I've already fixed it, but I have looked for examples in Wexford, and I've already done a description of this. If you want to read it instead, it's on the OpenStreetMap.ie website, the Irish community's website, and I can put a link in the description, where I used an example from Wexford, and this example that I will use is also from Wexford, and it's the townland of Corraduff. I've already given away what the actual name is, but on townland.ie it's called Corraduff. So on townlands.ie, this is the entry. You have the table of contents here, and it tells you where it is, which is also taken from OpenStreetMap because each townland is part of a larger area of a barony and a civil parish and all these kinds of things. It is not matched up to loganim.yet, which is because it doesn't have a loganim reference number. The last video I published was about that, so if you want to watch that, I'll link that in the corner. So this is the outline of the townland. It's quite specific, which is probably because it goes up a hillside and gives you information about the area, the borders, and so on and so forth. So you may be from that area, or you just happen to know that this is spelled wrong and you want to fix that. So you scroll to the very bottom of that page and you can see that Corraduff was added to OpenStreetMap on 24th of November 2012 by PJNA. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know that user, but thanks for adding it anyway. And then you can view it on OpenStreetMap and show the changes. We don't want that. We want to edit. This tutorial is going to be using the ID editor because most of my tutorials do, and I presume that you're a beginner and that you will be using ID because it's the easiest to use for a beginner. I don't know if people still use Potlatch. So you click on the ID button, which will open the ID editor. Now you have to have an account with OpenStreetMap already, which is easy to get. You just sign up, they send you an email, you confirm, the usual. There are no cookies or anything, it's free obviously, so it'll take you maybe 5 minutes to get that, and then you log in. I'm always logged in on this computer, so I don't have to do that. And then you can click on this button here, and it will open this relation in the ID editor. I should probably explain relations a little bit, but I will do that in the ID editor where I can show you stuff. So a relation on OpenStreetMap is very much like a family relation where you have different members of a family that are part of this relation, family X, and they have different genders and they have different interests and ages and physical attributes, but they're all part of this relation, family X, and they're collected in that family. And it's the same with a boundary relation, like a townland, where you have different parts making out the boundary. And of course, each boundary is shared with the neighbor. And that is something that isn't, for example, done by other GIS systems, but in OpenStreetMap it's done like that. So for example, you have the most northwestern part is a river or a stream called Onabrisky, and then the next bit here seems to be like a fairly random line. I can't see what's underneath. There might be a wall or something, probably not. It's probably just a random straight line. And then further down it might be, there's a road here that is the relation, so the boundary is on the road. So one side of the road is in one townland and the other one is in the other townland, and so on. And there's another bit of a stream and so on. So that's what a relation is, and it has admin level 10, which defines it as a townland. In Ireland, the boundary is defined as administrative because that's what townlands used to be. Probably not that important anymore. And then we have the name, which we think is wrong. And the place is a locality, and the locality is townland as well. And the type of the relation is boundary, and it also has a Wikidata entry. It doesn't have a loganim reference number yet. This is why it says here, Corridov is not matched up to loganim yet. So to fix that name, don't just go in and put in the name that you got from loganim. I would recommend that you check it against the British War Office map. So I will activate that background layer. So you go into, on the right hand side in the menu, you go to background settings, and then fairly far down there is one that's called Irish British War Office 1 to 25K GSGS 3906. So that's the British War Office map. That's what I call it. Other people call it different names. And then you can close that menu because it's in the way, and you can zoom in there. And you can kind of see why they might have made that mistake. So the actual name is Koradov, but the A is covered up by this foresty bit here. I mean, I should have noticed that there was a gap there, but you know, they're humans. Humans make mistakes. So we can see that the actual name is Koradov, so we can correct that under the name tag. And the ED Rosser, that's not part of the name. We know that it's probably, it should be, yeah. Kordov is in the electoral division of Rossard, so that's already in the data, so that's not part of the name. They didn't have digital data on a paper map, so they had to print it on it, if you get me. There are certain things that you can do with data, like all these different tags here. You can't put that on a paper map. So they had to print certain things on it, which got in the way of other things then. So like there's a lot of things that are very difficult to read because it's overlapped by other information. But that's the disadvantage of a paper map that we have overcome now. I'm not bad-mouthing paper maps, they're still good to have, especially when the internet failed. But these are different challenges that you have when you're producing a paper map versus a digital map. Or OpenStreetMap isn't really a map, it's a geodatabase. Anyway, long story short, you fixed the spelling mistake. If you wanted to add the loganim reference number, you could do that now in one go, but I won't go into it now because I've done that in the last video. And then all you have to do is save this, obviously. So on the top right, you'll see a little upload button and a 1, which means you have made one change, and it should really be just the one. So you add your change that set comment, fix townland spelling, hashtag townlands. I just did one before, so it's already still there. And you don't have to use the hashtag, but you can, and the source would be the British War Office map, or you can call it GSGS 3906, but then you have to remember a number, and maybe you're not good with numbers, but maybe you are. And then you just upload that. If you're not entirely sure about your edit, you can take that little box that you saw there that I should have waited for, that says I want somebody to review my changes. And then you can go to the main page of OpenStreetMap and maybe zoom in on the townland boundary. So you can see there it still says Kordov because it's still in the cache, the information is still in the cache. So you might want to wait a couple of minutes and refresh the page using Control F5. And because it's a relation, it might take a little longer. There we are. So it has changed that now. So it is fixed on OpenStreetMap.org. Anyone else getting fresh data, immediate data from that will have that change as well. As I said, townlands.ie. I don't know how often that is updated. Maybe Amanda is watching this video in the future and can comment, please. Or anyone else who knows. But it should be Amanda. And thanks for watching. And happy mapping and a happy new year as well. Slán go fóill.